Kaizen, blitzing your IE career.
Why is that balance so important? Well, when you get to the workplace, either if you have a job or you put together a startup, you're not working alone. You're working with other people. And that's where the human factors really comes in, the understanding of people's incentives and why they believe certain things and why they are for or against certain things as well. I really wanted to come back to the Philippines because I felt that again, being no very a bit, not a bit, but very nationalistic. I said, I would rather put my life's effort to making our country a better place to live in.
Kaizen, Blitzing Your IE Career, a podcast where we talk with seasoned industrial engineers and learn how they have navigated their careers from university to their present roles. I'm your host, Johnny Boydon from the UP Industrial Engineering Department. Our second guest is Mr. Jose Emmanuel Jimbo Reverente. He is currently a consultant for innovation at the UP System, senior lecturer at the Virata School of Business, and also Chief Innovation Officer and Executive Coach at the Rizal Academy for Innovation and Leadership. He graduated UPIE 92. So welcome to the show, sir. Kamusta?
Mabuti naman. Thanks for having me here. Appreciate it.
Yeah, so we're very excited, sir, to learn more about your entire IE career. But first, pag-usapan muna natin ang iyong college life. So, kamusta
Okay.
nga ba, sir, ang college life?
Napakasarap ng college life. I think I spent too much time in UP, but I enjoyed every minute of it. I graduated, as I said, as you guys said, in 92. I was a member of the UPIE club. I was actually at one point vice president for externals.
Oh.
And then I was also a member of UP Ictus, and then I was chair 91 to 92 of that org. So UP life was terrific. I joined many of the Eng Week activities like Indakan, Awitan, etc. Participating in many contests around the campus. And I think I remember I joined the Diliman Marathon, which was just a 5K at that time, and watched a lot of sports events like may angle doon pa noon for tennis during Eng Week, yung tawag doon. And then there's of course the basketball games, the volleyball games and all that. So napakasaya nung college. Yeah.
Ayan, very vibrant ang college life ni Sir Jimbo. But balikan muna natin, sir, ano nga ba ang impression nyo ng IE back even before you were in college? So parang maybe when you were in high school, how did you see IE ba? And why did you apply into the IE course?
Okay. Thanks for that question. I really when I applied for the UPCAT, what I really wanted to study, frankly, uh was anthro or social sciences. I really wanted to understand why people made decisions in certain ways. That was really what I wanted to do. But my dad was a doctor at Unilever for many years, and ang naging barkada niya doon mga senior executives, and many of them were engineers. And most, I think, from UP at that time. So he really wanted me to be an engineer from UP. My grandfather and my father were both UP students, alumni. So I was third generation. In fact, eventually we got the third generation award. So I ended up in IE. I chose IE because um, of the manufacturing angle, right? Because my father, as I mentioned, worked in Unilever. So I said, ito yung pinakabagay for manufacturing. And little did I know it could lead to so many different things.
Yeah, so hilig pala ni Sir Jimbo ang antro and maybe parang how people deal. And actually connected naman yan sa IE kasi
Diba?
parang
Meron tayong people,
Yes.
human factors, no?
Yes. Sabi nga nila parang IE is combination din ng human factors and ng engineering.
Yes.
So, but when you were in college, sir, so nagbago ba yung thoughts mo na ito about IE? Meron bang mga nagbago sa iyong impression? Or was it the same ba na you really liked IE as it is and until you graduated? So, kamusta naman, sir, ang naging
Yeah,
thoughts
ang
nyo sa
daming,
IE?
I think that the IE curriculum, as I understand it, up to today, is both deep and broad at the same time, if you get what I mean. Because we really get to understand a lot of the engineering principles and the technical aspects of manufacturing and operations. But at the same time, we also get a broad view of business and the economy. I was just talking about how we also have electives in micro and macroeconomics, in financial statement analysis, management accounting as well. That helps us understand the scorecard of business and manufacturing. During my stint at Unilever in manufacturing, I was an assistant production manager in detergent powders at a certain point. Am I jumping forward too much?
It's okay, sir.
But you're not just reading production reports, you're reading management accounting reports.
Mm.
So you do need to have an understanding of how the scorecard looks like in the financial sense. So that's why the broad curriculum of IE really helps you get an understanding of the ecosystem that you're in, not just again in your functional area, but you get to understand how it relates to everything else that happens in a company.
Actually, yun nga ang medyo description ng IA, no? Yung pagiging flexible nito in various fields. Parang you learn core skills that you can use maybe in the business setting, pero you're still versatile enough to maybe to jump or to go to different department, to different aspects, ano. Pero balikan muna natin, Sir Jimbo, ano, yung time mo nga, yung ACADS life mo
Yes, Akad's
sa
life.
UP
Yeah,
IE.
yeah.
So, what were your favorite subjects?
Funny, I really liked ES1.
Engineering
Yeah,
drawing.
engineering drawing, ES1. I liked it because we were drawing, but we were also being very exact, right? Kasi may exact measurements. And then, as I was mentioning earlier, I like yung bibigyan ka ng top view, front view, and side view. And also, a view of what the inside of this cube or sphere will look like. And then sasabihin sa'yo, hatiin mo sa gitna, buksan mo, anong itsura sa loob? I really like that because yung imagination mo, no, magagamit. And interestingly, this visualization is so important when it comes to understanding processes. To be able to visualize what it looks like on the shop floor, even visualize or using visual tools when you do process maps. The ability, I think, of an IE to think in terms of not just numbers, but also in pictures, allows us to also communicate those ideas in a very effective manner.
That's actually good, ano. That's actually true. I mean, important din ang creativity and imagination for engineers. How about the IE majors? I mean,
Right.
there's a wide range of IE courses in our department, ano, sir.
Yes.
So, alin ba dito yung parang maybe pinakanahiligan ninyo nung college?
Okay. I really so the funny thing is when you're an IE, you study many different aspects of operations, right? So you have your basic statistics course, you have your OR, and then you have your engineering economy course under Prof. Ega, which I really enjoy. I think he still teaches that, no?
Yes, until now.
Yeah. And then you have your stochastic processes and all this. Very highly technical now in terms of operations. But when it all comes together in, I think, 197, feasibility study. Tama ba?
I think now it's
Is it
153 now. It's
153? Okay. So in baka special projects yung 197. But in 153, feasibility study, where it all comes together. You know, there's an understanding of the market, understanding of operations, and then may financial analysis pa, no? It all comes together. I think I enjoyed that the most because it came closest to building a business case. I thought that was very interesting. In fact, I ended up doing that a lot over time, building business cases, looking at, is there demand for it? Can we do it? Will we make money? It's actually at the heart of what I teach now here at UP, which is innovation. Those three things. Will someone want it? Can you do it? Will we make money? Putting those together. That's why I like the feasibility study.
And actually, very close din talagang IE sa business side. Parang some say that IE yung parang business and innovation side ng engineering. What do you have to say about that?
I absolutely agree. It's because of also the integrative nature of the way we're taught in IE. The technical side, which comes with process analysis, no, and as I understand, well, you know, back in the late 80s, early 90s, information technology was already coming into play, no. Of course, we were using computers already. The data analytics side of it was also becoming more important. So when you add all of that together, the understanding really of what happens in the real world, so to speak, is front and center.
Back in the university pala, sir, when you were still a student, did you do project courses? Parang did you do projects, and how relevant were they when you went into the real life na? So
Yeah. So one of the things we looked at, I don't remember na exactly what course. It might be 197 nga, where we looked at the production process in a metal forming shop, no? And what we saw was parang hindi optimized yung locations nung certain machines on the shop floor, such that there was a lot of waste in terms of transportation from one
inefficiency.
station to another. And it, it I think we were already thinking lean even before lean was a concept, like lean manufacturing, lean management, waste elimination. Um, I already learned that when I was taking IE. So when I was on the shop floor, it became again at Unilever. I was a methods officer first at Unilever, which was traditional IE work. We were doing time and motion studies, which is the bread and butter of IE. But when we were doing process analysis, talaga, is the layout of the factory as efficient should be, should creating waste. Um, in MIT, they teach system dynamics, right? Stock and flow
Yes.
diagrams and all that. That's again at the heart of what we do. We understand those things. So ang galing talaga, napaka-applicable talaga ng matutunan mo sa real world yung sa IE.
Yes, let's talk more about that, sir, yung work mo nga sa Unilever later. Now, I want to ask muna, in general, kamusta ang iyong college life also outside ACAD? So, kamusta naman yung parang iyong extracurricular activities? Did you join orgs? You said
Yes,
you...
so I joined iClub and ICTUS. Those were my main orgs. But so when you join an org kasi, based on my experience, it's not just being a member of the org. It's the stuff you do as an org together. Participation in Eng Week was, of course, so important, but also doing outreach um, to less fortunate members of our society. And then, of course, preparing to studying together. I really appreciated the sample exam treasure trove of iClub at that time, no? We were able to look back. In fact, I had a classmate, uh, ang gagawin niya, papag-aralan talaga niya lahat niya yung mga sample exam. Tapos, kunyari, 5 yung tanong sa exam and each is 20 points and you need to get 60 to pass. Hindi niya titirahin yung 5 tanong. Sisiguraduhin lang niya tama, perfect yung 3, 60 na yun. Swak na, di ba? And the reason he was able to do that was talagang pinag-aralan namin yung mga sample exams. And I think that support was very well-rounded. So, which is what I appreciated in IE Club was you enjoyed working on doing extracurricular work, again, org activities in Dakan, Awitan, etc., the sports, but then also well-rounded because you study together with your ACAD. So that's what I enjoyed about my org life.
Kamusta ang Eng Week, sir? Meron ba kayong favorite memories in Eng Week? Or even not just in Eng Week. Favorite memories lang, sir, in
Yeah,
general.
well, my most memorable experience in Eng Week when I was Miss Engineering I was Miss IE sa Miss Engineering in
Oh.
1988. Really
Oh.
something that few people know about me, but I'm putting it out there. Very memorable experience. But of course, as an applicant, very active and as an officer also, just doing all the sports. I played on volleyball teams. I wasn't as good in basketball, so I didn't do that. But I did all the other things. So that's what made life in UP really exciting.
And speaking about that, sir, kasi parang in the UP training of IEs, parang hindi lang naman tayo puro ACADS. We also put importance on being well-rounded nga. So how do you think about that balance? Do you think enough, or do you think maganda ba na balance yung nagiging development ng mga students dito sa UPIE, na parang of course we focus in our ACADS, we do well in our courses, but we also kumbaga spend much time in other things outside ACADS?
I think that's so important. Living a balanced life is even more important as I've gotten older, and the strength of my relationships, it at work and at home and among my friends is so important. And you get a taste of that in if you're at UPIE. Why is that balance so important? Well, when you get to the workplace, either if you have a job or you put together a startup, you're not working alone. You're working with other people, and your ability to be a follower, a good follower, will lead to being a good leader. And anytime people understand that it's nice to work with you, that
Mm.
you are able to deliver on your commitments, and at the same time you're able to support others and provide great feedback, and then you're viewed as a strong team member. You learn that all from your exposure. You get really a lot of practice when you're in undergrad, as based on my experience.
Speaking about that, Sir Jimbo, so what do you think has been, kumbaga, the best thing that UPIE has taught you na kumbaga, nadala ninyo hanggang work, hanggang into your careers now?
Yeah. It's the ability to solve problems. Break down the problem to its, core components. Figure out ano ba talaga yung issue dito,
Mm.
right? And then have the ability to apply and experiment on different solutions, and having that open-mindedness. Sometimes there's no one right answer. Sometimes it's iterative. You have to try first. I think, and maybe that's gotten better over time because usually, 'di ba, sa ACADS, excuse me, minsan there's one right answer. But that's not always the case in the real world. And actually, if you can, I know it's funny, but the idea of getting partial points,
Of
diba? Because
course.
you argue about this is the way I saw it, right? You still get points for that, and as opposed to just getting only if you get the final question right, no? Because you can make mistakes along the way. So if it's a 10-step, it's a to solve the problem takes 10 steps. If you've solved the first 9 correct or 8, I think you should be rewarded
Mm.
instead of just getting the final answer correct. And I think that's a better way to approach education. Um, because in the real world, you don't usually get the right answer right away. And there are a lot of failures and pivots that you have to do. Um, so, yeah, I think that's probably for me the ability to solve problems, break it down to its core components, and then find the answer. That's probably what I took with me along the way.
Yes, sabi nga nila sa IE, favorite natin 'to sa IE na a problem a a a problem well defined is a problem half solved. Do you believe in that?
Absolutely. Yeah, kasi ang daming red herring na information, di ba? In the real world, maraming red herring. Kala mo, parang ano, if feel like a detective, you're trying to find out ano ba talaga yung issue. And then sometimes, I like watching Law and Order. And the
Mm.
funny thing about not funny thing, but the thing that I find really interesting, an episode can start with like a crime, and then they find out there's organized crime behind it pala. So what we see usually are symptoms when we see a problem. Now when you approach a problem, you see symptoms, but then you realize there are underlying root causes that
Mm.
makes these symptoms. May sistemang umiiral, right?
Mm.
Paulit ang ulit yung
True.
ganong event. Yung pala, may sistema behind it. So those are not one-off events. So as IEs, we're trained to look at those underlying causes, root cause analysis, right? We do
Yes.
that so that we solve the real problems. So that we change the structure, we change the process to solve the real problem.
Ang galing ng analogy. So, para din pala mga detective ang mga
Detective
IEs. We really look into the root cause of the problem, and from there on, no, kumbaga from finding the root cause, dun tayo mag-start nga mag-offer ng mga solutions
Yeah.
to probably solve that problem.
Interestingly, sometimes when you do a root cause analysis, it can also be hard to accept kasi baka masyadong deeply rooted na yung inaatake mo, no? Masyado
Mm.
deeply rooted. So an IE is also able to say, well, yun, kunyari may isang event na nakita mo, no? And then you identify 5 root causes. I think an IE can also say, which of those 5 root causes, if you prioritize and attack that one first will generate the best positive return, no? So, which one of those five? Kasi hindi naman equal yun. You prioritize which one is the most impactful. That I think we're also trained to do that. And then, allow us to say, oh, ito muna. Kunyari, you find out there are 5 root causes. Which ones will you solve first para mas impactful? Kasi alam natin,
Yes.
may law of diminishing returns din yan, right? So baka the first few things will get you further along. And then, the ones, the remaining ones are also mas maliit na yung impact. But have the ability to also offer a solution or a transition. If to get from point A to point B, you can't jump to point B. Maraming interim. So I think that we also have the ability to say, sige, hindi tayo pwedeng umabot doon, but if you're going from Manila to Baguio, dadaan ka muna ng Bulacan, di ba? So
Yes.
parang ganun. So how can we take the first steps? I think we're also capable of doing that.
Actually, that's a very good insight, Sir Jimbo. No? Medyo napaisip nga ako kasi parang important din yung implementation and yung proper implementation kasi sometimes you have to prioritize your solutions, you have to manage the possible risks, and then based on those assessments, tsaka ka pipili ng proper solution to the problem nga na iyong na-detect. Kumbaga yung root cause ng problem na iyong na-detect.
Right.
Parang yun yung nagiging overall flow ng problem solving.
Yeah, the
ng
value
IEs.
add kasi is in the execution. I mean, you may have analyzed it well, pero pag hindi naman ma-execute yung proposed solution mo, then it's probably not the right solution. You always have to think of how will this be implemented. And I think in the real world, away from ACADS, it's implementing those solutions is where the real action happens.
Ayun. So let's go sa naman after graduation na tayo ng college.
Sure.
So you went into the first work. So can you describe, Sir Jimbo, sa ating mga listeners, ano nga ba yung naging first work mo, and was it easy or difficult finding a job after UPIE?
It wasn't difficult finding a job because to be a UPIE graduate is highly you're highly valued because of the rigor that we go through, but also because of the well-rounded nature of an IE graduate. It wasn't that difficult to find a job. But my first job was not in IE. No? My first job was as a corporate planning analyst. Corporate planning assistant. And what we did at that time was basically putting together feasibility studies.
Oh, it's
So
IE pa rin.
immediately applicable. Di ba, we talked about feasibility.
Yes.
So that's exactly what I did. I did feasibility studies. And then I also looked at some technical aspects of sales. No? So it was technical sales. So from feasibility studies to technical sales. And I was talking to engineers. So the ability to understand what we were selling, but at the same time, how it's used in the manufacturing setting made it easy for me given my background. It was when I went to Unilever as my second job. Actually, wow, third na pala yung Unilever. As a methods officer, when I was finally on the shop floor doing time and motion studies, where I was able to use the traditional IE learning. So no, it wasn't hard at all to find a job.
Ayun, so, i-map out na muna natin, Sir Jimbo, ano yung naging career flow before you're now here in UP. So pwedeng
Mahabang usapan to,
Sige lang, sir. Parang pa-map out lang nung
sige.
maybe brief maybe brief stories lang on how you navigated your career.
Right. Well, a lot. I had a very non-traditional career path. If you ask some people, if you're given 10 tests, would you rather take the same test 10 times, or would you rather take 10 different tests? Some people would rather take the same test 10 times and try to perfect it each time. I was actually of the take 10 different tests because I like the variety. And that actually happened in my career. I was first a planning assistant at FINMA, and then I was a technical sales engineer also at another company within FINMA, and then I joined Unilever as a methods officer. Eventually, and then we work aside from doing time and motion studies. I was assigned to the electrical engineering department to help them get ISO 9001 certification, where you have to write down what you're doing and then do what you write down, right? And then make sure meron kang corrective action in place. So very process-oriented, process analysis. And it also required a database to be put in, so I helped them do that. And then I was promoted to production management in detergent powders, running the packaging operation. So very IE, we're looking at efficiencies. And I helped put together what was at that time called Project Pyramid, which was an efficiency software, so that we could look at efficiencies of all our production lines, top to bottom across the entire Unilever. I actually went to Australia to train on that. My first time in Sydney, and we worked in a factory located in Parramatta. Interestingly, at Unilever, I digress. At Unilever Australia, they built their because of high labor costs. They built their plants so that kaya yung production capacity in one shift
Oh.
as opposed to running 3 shifts. So they actually overbuilt the plant. Tapos nung nagkaroon ng ASEAN trade agreement where you could, source from low tariffs or no tariffs within ASEAN countries, and also up to Australia, no, nagka-trade agreements. They had to shut down those plants because they were over capacity. And we experienced that in the Philippines, no? So some parts of Asia, so Thailand became the center of excellence for shampoos and conditioners, and then Indonesia for soaps and toothpaste somewhere else. So nagkaroon ng distributed manufacturing across ASEAN. So medyo nabawasan yung manufacturing sa Philippines, right? But I know that I was part of that effort to make sure manufacturing was really top notch. So after
And then after,
Unilever,
sir.
I found my way to Aboitiz.
Oh.
In Aboitiz Shipping. They helped me. I helped them run their passenger terminal in the North Harbor. And then after Aboitiz merged with William Lines and Gotong Lines to form WGNA, I became in charge of what was kind of how do you call that? It's called the Central Booking Office. I was in charge of passenger retail sales, so the ticketing network. So you had to understand information flows, and all that. So parang it was like we had our own BPO because we used an Oracle database system. So ang layo na, no, sa manufacturing. Pero process flows,
Yes,
process
information
optimization,
systems.
information system. So I also did that. And then itong nakakatawa doon. And then I worked for Mondragon International, which had a retail arm. So I eventually was running their stores that sold Nike equipment, as shoes and apparel. And then after running those stores, the company decided to put up a basketball team for what was the Metropolitan Basketball Association in the late 90s, no? So I put together the financial and feasibility plan for that.
Oh.
And then I became marketing and operations manager for the team. So it was my foray to professional sports. Ang layo na, di
Very
ba?
flexible talaga,
Yes, pero
IEs.
dun pumasok yung feasibility study and the financials.
Mm.
I was running the business side of that professional basketball team. After that, I did my MBA in finance and strategy at Cornell in 1999, focusing on finance and strategy. That allowed me to work in a biotech firm in California after graduation, looking at developing financial models for drugs in development. Very exciting yon because again, pumasok yung feasibility and financial analysis. And of course, my coursework in the MBA had to figure out basically if a drug was to be developed, anong patient population niya and all that. And then gaano kalaki yung factory na gagawa nung drugs, right? Ethical drugs, of course. And then I had to mention that, yeah, biotech kasi. And then had to figure out yung clinical plan. And then create a financial model to encapsulate all of that. Really difficult work, but very fulfilling. And I believe that one of the products I worked on the very beginning in 2001 eventually made its way to the market to help osteoporosis. And I
Oh.
think the sales are $1.5 billion a year. This was very early in that process. So I had a hand in that. After that, I worked in a reverse logistics company called Data Exchange Corporation. Weird name, but it's called DEX. And I did contracts. What did I do in the contracts? I was asked to develop our pricing for requests for quotations, requests for proposal. So this company was doing reverse logistics. What's reverse logistics? So after you sell a product, if there's a defect or it needs to be repaired, how does it get back to the manufacturer? Does the manufacturer have its own repair facility or do they have an outsourced repair facility? So the company I worked for had the whole facility where it could repair anything from laptops to TVs to even medical equipment and even the what's inside the nacelles of the wind turbines. And they had locations in Ireland, Ohio, and California. So I did the pricing for all of that. So how would I be able to do that? I had to understand basically the process, the costs of each step to put together a proposal that was financially acceptable to our clients at that time. So again, dun pumapasok yung understanding of the process from an IE perspective and then applying financial analysis. It all came together for that. When I returned to the Philippines, ang haba na ng kwento, in 2012, my first job was as CFO of a energy company. We were building at the time 2 by 135 megawatt power plant in Batangas. Right? Parang ang layo na, right? Pero again, the exposure to
Yes, of
the
course.
technical side and then the financial side coming together. Should we stop there? Ang dami pa. And then I worked for the government after that as an undersecretary at the Department of Finance looking at infrastructure projects via the public-private partnership. So there I applied again financial perspective toward construction of these large projects from again from the financial perspective for the government. Eventually, I found my way into the infrastructure sector. This time at Aboitiz, looking at airports, toll roads, waterworks, etc. So again, heavy into infrastructure, but also with the financial analysis side. That's when, and with my prior work in government, really understood the people factor. When you're doing reforms or when you're doing large scale projects like that, there's a lot of impact on the population, right? And there are a lot of stakeholders who may or may not see the value of what you're doing. And it's up to officials or leaders to really listen to the concerns of people so that number one, you're able to address them and at the same time show that what you're doing is of value to the community, to society. That's where the people, the human factors really comes in, the understanding of people's incentives and why they believe certain things and why they are for or against certain things as well. So bumalik tayo dun sa, it came back to, if you remember, my initial thing was I wanted to study social science before I eventually end up in IE. Bumabalik din.
Oh.
It all came back. So it led to my eventual work in innovation since 2020. Helping companies think about basically the feasibility of new ventures, no? And it led me to teaching here at both the Virata School of Business and also here at the College of Engineering. I'm teaching ENG 150 to mostly IE students.
Technopreneurship.
Yeah, technopreneurship. And that's the application of, of tech towards solving a real social problem or a technical problem that's demand driven from the industry. What we want to do is move away from creating things that no one wants to buy kasi sayang yung effort, no? So really be demand driven is my demand and industry driven is my mantra at this time. So wow, ang haba nun, no?
Ayun.
Long story.
Very long and arduous journey of Sir Jim
Yeah,
sa
messy
kanyang
messy
buong
journey,
career.
not a straight line at all.
But ayun sir, so kumbaga your journey included parang you started with time and motion study, being a methods officer, and then you dealt much with financial analysis, and you also became an executive leading people, leading organizations. Pero in all of this, sir, parang how really did your IE training, UP IE training come into use? Or like aling subjects, aling training, aling skills, aling aspects ng UP IE yung talagang nadala mo into your career, into your work?
So again, going back to solving problems, but also understanding the context of the problems that you're solving. And I think that's at the heart of everything that we do at UPIE. It's those two things, no? Understanding the problem and the context of the problem, and then applying your creativity using analytical tools as well to help find solutions for those problems. Always knowing that a technical solution will still need to be implemented by humans. And how can you be effective in that implementation? All of that really came down to my training as an industrial engineer here at UP.
How about the soft skills, sir? Like maybe communication, leadership?
Well, that's my point about that humans have to implement, and you can only do that through clarity of your communications
Yes.
with people, how you step up to the plate and deliver when it's your turn to contribute, and then how you also support other people to be creative and not be kumbaga controlling, no, that you allow people's creativity to also come to the fore, because I learned this a lot in IE as well. I don't know all the answers, and working together with other people to solve the grand problems, the important problems of our time is probably one of the most fulfilling things you can do.
And just for our listeners lang ano, especially maybe may mga students na nakikinig nito. So, kamusta nga ba ang parang work life? I mean, maybe we'd like to speak to students or to young professionals na nag-move pa lang into their careers na parang kamusta nga ba ang working as an IE maybe or working in related tasks? So, how is it really? How is work life really?
Okay, I think work-life balance has to be driven talaga by individuals. What you spend your time on shows your priorities. So if you don't take care of yourself or your family or your relationships, regardless of the work that you do, I don't think you'll be successful. Um, so if you're, if you take IE, one of the things that you'll realize is you can't be studying all the time. Also, it's not healthy. You live in an environment, you have your relationships with your support system. They may be your family or extended family, and then your classmates, and then your professors. You live in a context, and it's really up to you to determine to make sure that to be effective, the most effective that you can be, you need to make sure to provide as much time for other activities so that you're well rounded. It's really up, I think, no, it's really up to you to determine the work life balance that works for you.
Maintain a healthy overall life din ano.
Yes, absolutely.
What do you say, Sir Jimbo, about kasi ang IE minsan nalilabel as jack of all trades. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that naman ano, pero parang yung flexibility nito. What do you have to say about that? Especially ang IE ay walang board exam. Minsan nga sometimes may notion na parang ang IE ay instant eng or indie eng. So what do you have to say about this, sir?
The funny thing is, minsan, well, not minsan, madalas dyan nangyayari, yung IE nagiging boss ng mga ibang it really happens a lot. But I think that is a strength, not a weakness. Because you'll find IEs in so many different parts of the business world, right? In so many different roles, and they're effective in all those different roles, primarily because of the well-rounded training that we get in the combination of analytical skills and people skills.
So actually very crucial din pala ano yung pagte-train ng mga well-rounded IEs. How about ano, sir? How about yung mga parang specific subjects or specific courses in IE? Meron bang do you think yung parang pinaka naging helpful, maybe it in the operations research or production systems or yung feasibility nga. So alin sa mga yun
Yeah.
yung parang pinaka naging helpful sa iyong career?
Interestingly, because I went into masters in business, etc., I would have to say the thing that really helped me transition toward that area. Again, it was just my interest. Was engineering economy. I think 1.5
IE 150 or IE 15 na now. IE 50,
no? Engineering economy, where you looked at the time value of money,
financials,
no?
yes.
Um, that really was my introduction into the concept talaga of the time value of money and how a peso today is more valuable than a peso next year, right? And that's where the concept of net present value came in, and the concept of uh you know uh do you want to earn the money sooner rather than later? The question, it answered questions about how soon do you need to earn the money back? What's your internal rate of return? What's the level of investment that can that can create the returns that you want? So for me, that was probably the most impactful one.
And yun din pala ano, Sir Jimbo, kasi your IE career somehow transitioned into the financial side nito,
Yes.
no? Was it deliberate or was it natural or parang na-imagine mo ba ito even before, even while in college na this is probably my future since I like IE 50 or yung
Yeah.
engineering economy, parang maybe in my future career, magfo-focus ako on like the financial aspects of systems, of
Yeah.
businesses.
It was a very personal choice, I would have to say. And I can't prescribe my choices on others. What eventually happened was this. So I was studying my MBA in the US. And when I was when I was taking my masters, may mga core courses and then may mga electives na where you can focus on your concentration. So we start with core courses. And the summer internship between the first and second year allows you to transition into a new field, no? Like me as an IE, if I chose to go into finance. So I had to make a choice. Sabi ko, I wanted to my family and I wanted to live in the US, no? That was one of the things that we said, how can I maximize my job opportunities? And what I and my analysis was, what's a function that exists in all companies?
Good thinking.
Right? What's a function that exists in all companies? So regardless of the type of company, they have this job. And for me, that was a finance job because every company has a finance function, right? It may be a manufacturing company, it may be a service oriented company, etc. Regardless of the company it is, there's a finance function. So that's why I decided to focus on finance to maximize my opportunity finding a job. And I got 5 job offers actually, even before graduation. No, after when I before I completed my MBA, I had 5 job offers, all in
Oh.
the finance field. Um, that's how I ended up there. So again, very personal decision. But that was a decision I made at that time, which is why I ended up focusing on finance and strategy.
But that's a very wise decision and very practical decision,
Practical,
ano?
di ba?
Really practical. But ayun nga, sir, ano, now you're working here in UP. You're now a consultant for innovation sa buong UP system and also a lecturer at the college or the Virata School of Business and also here in the College of Engineering. So how did that transition happen naman, Sir Jimbo? Paano na like you're doing the financial
Yeah,
aspects of businesses but now you're teaching here. So how did
yeah.
that happen?
So interestingly, as part of my role in innovation and as a consultant to corporates, uh, I would run innovation courses and programs, basically 12-week programs for maybe teams as big cohort of about um, 40 people at one time, split into teams of 6, ganyan. And then I was teaching the 12-week program and also coaching a team of 6. And then I said, this would be this might be an interesting course, no? Because I was teaching to corporates over three years already. So I know that I knew the dean at at the School of Business, Virata School of Business, and I basically pitched it. I said, I teach this to corporate clients, and then would the School of Business be interested in a course like this? And then Dean Lizares said, yes. What would that look like as a 3-unit course? So I designed the course curriculum, and did basically I pitched my curriculum, my syllabus, and then I did a demo class, right? And they said, yeah, we love that. So I was appointed a senior lecturer at the Virata School of Business. along the way, I was introduced to the innovation work being done in the university. Our TTBDOs, our
Yes.
Technology Transfer and Business Development Office here in Diliman. We have a system TTBDO that coordinates all the work across the UP system. I was invited to be a senior mentor at Upscale. That's where I met the team of Dr. Louis Season.
Dr. Louis.
And Dr. Louis teaches is the head of the Eng 150 Technopreneurship course here. And then Chair Pam Lagria, Professor Pam Lagria,
Of course.
asked if I could also teach technopreneurship. And I said, of course, let's do it. So that's how I ended up teaching both at the Virato School of Business and at the College of Engineering. I'm enjoying it so far. And then the work I was doing, I also mentioned this to President Gigil Jimenez of the university, and he said, Jimbo, I need your help at the university. So he got me to be his consultant for innovation to look at the entire UP system and looking at also our innovation policy framework. And that's where I'm headed. So that's where I spend most of my time on now.
But how was that decision, sir? Kasi parang somehow you steered your career into the financial side and it's a practical decision nga na
Yeah.
parang you can probably live in the US but now you're here in the Philippines. So how was that decision also in the personal level?
Yeah, so on personal level, I really wanted to come back to the Philippines because I felt that again being no very a bit not a bit but very nationalistic. I said, I would rather put my life's effort to making our country a better place to live in, and had the opportunity to work in public service as an undersecretary, and then coming back to UP because my gratitude really for my experience at UP is so great na sabi ko, it's time to give back and really help the students and the entire university create a better world for Filipinos.
I think part din siya ng parang UP training ano. Sa UP we have a motto na honor and excellence and now merong parang
Service, no?
yes.
Nadagdagan, no? I think that addition of the word service was a master stroke talaga because it really puts into the forefront that deep love of country.
Yes, giving back and kumbaga putting our efforts para mas kumbaga mas ma-feel ng Filipino people yung mga contributions natin. How do you keep yourself driven in your entire career, Sir Jimbo? Parang kasi sometimes when you're navigating a long-term career, sometimes napapagod ka or you hit obstacle. So
Yeah.
how about kayo? How about sa inyo, Sir Jimbo? Parang how do you deal with these challenges? How do you keep yourself motivated and driven to do more and do more?
I think it all starts for me personally with the gratitude I feel toward the support I've gotten throughout my life from my family and from UP, from my friends. So that really helps me anchor on love for family, love for my family, no, and then also love for country. I think Filipinos are very hardworking. We love our family, our families. We care for each other. We have a special brand of caring, which is recognized around the world. We care for each other. And this allows us, I think, to dig deeper into the personal side. So we value relationships very strongly here in our country. And I think that can be misused at times, no, the how much we value relationships. But I believe that we can use that power of relationships toward making things better for us. So what keeps me grounded? Love for family, the love my family has for me, and the love I have for my family and my friends.
Kamusta naman pala ang teaching experience sa UP, sir? How are the UP students?
UP students are smarter than ever before, I think. But I think what UP students have to work on is resilience and adaptability. I think the current generation maybe a little bit more sheltered. No, maybe a little bit more sheltered with a lot of tools. And maybe a lot of it also has to do with the level of criticism you may get instant, no, through social media. I mean, there's no record whatsoever of my college life walang photos, nothing. We could mess up and no one else would find out about it, no? We could mess around and screw up or do something wrong and no one else would find out about it. Ngayon, people are really under a microscope of
Mm.
social media, and it's very hard to, I think, unless you unplug, no? But then unplugging leads you to also unplug from your social networks, no? I mean,
Actually.
social network, not digital social network, just your social network. But that's how we connect na through digital means. So that can lead to some mental health issues, no? So the adaptability and resilience, or living through some failure and then bouncing back from that. I think maybe the UP students need to um not learn more, but be more comfortable about that kind of situation.
Mm. Kamusta naman sir yung work life? I mean kasi kanina we have heard about like yung work life mo during your early works during in those companies. How about yung work life as a teacher, as a lecturer? Kamusta naman ang ano nun sir?
I love teaching. In fact, when I ask why did I do it so late in my career, no? But the feedback from students, especially those that really see the value of what you're doing and put in the effort, they're the ones that really gain a lot. One of my students won recently in a competition for startups. No, I was very proud of her. She was very grateful for the work that we were doing. Um, that's what makes teaching very gratifying, to see people get the value of what we're teaching, and also um the ability, well, not ability, but to be in touch with the future. Para I'm, just working with students is really terrific. There's hope for the Philippines when you see students like that.
Yes.
And you're teaching technopreneurship ka ano Sir Jimbo dito sa engineering. How do you think or how relevant do you think is technopreneurship sa IE or how close really are these two fields are? And do you think our IEs or maybe engineers in general should be more technopreneurs? I mean, the Philippines should have more
Right.
technopreneurs.
I believe the Philippines should have more technopreneurs, because it creates more jobs. No, it
Mm.
creates more jobs. But the way we really need to focus technopreneurship is making sure we solve problems that are worth solving talaga. Problems that other people will value the solutions for,
Mm.
versus working on problems that no one else cares about. Because then
Mm.
that's not a very productive way to use the resources that you have on hand and will not lead to abundance of the enterprise. No?
Oh.
So make sure you're working on problems that other people value as problems worth solving.
Mm. Oh, ang galing. Actually, na-inspire ako dito now, sir, sa inyong mga words. Kasi it's true. And it also boils down to the IE, yung kanina na pag-usapan natin na parang find the root cause of the problem. And because when you solve that root cause of the problem, mas malaking chunk din ng solution or mas malaking chunk din ng value or ng contribution yung iyong magagawa. So parang you really also have to choose properly the problem that you will solve, the business that you will make, and the product or service that you will develop para mas maraming Pilipino ang matulungan.
Yeah, makikinabang sa
Ang
solusyon.
makikinabang. That's very inspiring. Ayun sir, we have here yung 6 pillars ng industrial engineering. I'm not sure if you're pero medyo popular kasi ito now eh. Yung
Yes.
systems thinking, process thinking, continuous improvement, customer centricity, quality orientation, and metrics based. So sa opinion mo lang Sir Jimbo, maybe can you choose like the top 3 or maybe rank them on which do you think yung parang pinaka-important in the IE field?
Alam mo, ang sagot dito, all of the above
All
eh.
of the above.
Oh, systems thinking. I actually teach a little bits of systems thinking. And that's the understanding the impact one has on another, no? So we work in systems. Process thinking, I talked about that. Continuous improvement, you can't be satisfied with the current system. You have to work to make it good all the time. Why do you do that? Customer centricity. And then yung quality orientation, of course, you don't want to work on something that's not repeatable, and not sustainable solution. And then metrics based, because kailangan we in IE we believe what gets measured can get improved. No?
Yes.
If you don't have a measure for something, how do you know you've worked on improving it? And that's having a definite scoreboard. So I would say all of the above. Because if you only look at a few, you won't get a holistic solution.
Mm.
Sorry, pasensya na. I think you wanted me. All of the above. I like all of the above.
Yes, yes, yes. In one word, Sir Jimbo, what is IE? In just one word.
It's just one word. Gosh. Uh, wow. Ang dami kong sinabi. Ask me to boil it down to one word. Pwede bang dalawa?
Sige, sir. Sige, sige.
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 Challenge everything.
Oh, that's nice. Can you expound on that, sir?
When I say challenge everything kasi, it lies at the heart of not being satisfied with the status quo.
Improvement. Continuous
Right.
improvement.
Yeah. And some things we take for granted. We have mental models that we take for granted. We may have mental models that are disempowering. How can we shift to empowering mental models? And the empowering mental model of challenge everything is at the heart of what we do as IEs. We work toward making things better in processes, in systems. So yeah, challenge everything. Make sure you surface and test your assumptions, but challenge them. Work towards something better.
Challenge everything. Maybe ano siya, maybe holistic siya na don't be contented in our systems now if merong mga talagang problems that we feel, and challenge also in order to improve the quality of our lives in the end of how we deal with our lives. What do you think, Sir Jimbo, should be the future of IE? Meron bang possibly missing pa sa current way on how we train our IEs? How do you think should this be further enhanced or developed para mas maparami pa yung ating mga skilled IEs, and mas maparami pa in the future mga maybe businesses na magagawa, successful companies, jobs. So what do you think
Yeah.
about the future?
So I remember a time when wala pang handheld calculators, no? It wasn't my time, but I remember some people, some of the older guys I know, they were saying we used to use slide rules. And then we eventually had to the handheld calculator. And then now, of course, we have all our laptops and all that, no? I used to have a financial calculator as well. The number one tool that's available now is AI. So how can we use AI to solve the problems that we face that we train to solve as industrial engineers, no? How can that be an additional tool for us to use to solve the problems that we study and the way we look for things? So I think that would be a way forward to embrace AI in all its to develop use cases for AI in manufacturing, production, process analysis, and then even implementation.
Siguro, sir, onting deep dive tayo dun sa use ng AI kasi you're also very much aligned with technopreneurship. So how do you think should also like technopreneurs, entrepreneurs, emerging business people use AI or use this emerging tech kumbaga to build the future?
Yeah. So for me, it's up to us to again develop more use cases for AI. AI is exponentially improving talaga right before our eyes. If you're a few days ago or maybe a week ago, ChatGPT 4.0.
Oh, may O na, yes.
I downloaded it. Kinakausap ko na siya. Kinakausap ko na si ChatGPT, no? Dati si Siri kausap mo, no? Pero, you can't talk about many things. In fact, parang sino ba kumakausap pa kay Siri? Even if that was an early precursor, no? And then, if we don't embrace this tool, I think we will lose our relevance. So let's embrace, those tools as much as we can.
Yes, si Siri nga parang naging normal na siya kaya mas nag-develop pa, mas nag-evolve pa ang AI. Actually amazing si ChatGPT 4.0 kasi naging siya kumbaga integrated siya ng different forms of data. Kumbaga may images, may text, I think may audio din.
May video na rin.
May video, super super versatile. And I agree very much, Sir Jimbo, na dapat nga nakikisabay tayo sa mga trends. I think yun din yung part ng innovation na parang dapat ang Filipinos, engineers, IEs nakikisabay sa worldwide trend kasi kung hindi, mahuhuli tayo and malulugi tayo like in a global economic scale din.
Yes. And then that's the thing about new tools. It allows us to do more, be more effective, I think, but without losing sight of who are we really helping. So if we use a different tool to help more people, I'm all for it.
Yes, yes. Ayun, Sir Jimbo. So let's end this podcast by giving some advice to our listeners, maybe to IE students, to IE professionals, especially those who are in their early careers and still trying to navigate and still trying to build their career. So maybe Sir Jimbo, ano, parang what advice can you share to them or to us na parang how should we build, how should we develop our careers?
Um, okay, number one, I would say have a strong foundation in problem solving. No, because then that can be applied into whatever field you choose talaga. So have a strong foundation. We can go so many different directions, but what will allow you to be effective is your ability to build strong relationships with the people you work with. And you may end up with a friend for life or a close barkada, no, for life. So have a strong foundation in your skill set, build strong relationships every step of the way, and then work for something bigger than yourself para you have a fulfilling life. Try as much as possible to insert service to country in whatever form you can. Know that as you as there's no such thing as a self-made person, no? You do not do it on your own talaga. You rely on support from others. So give back that support, pay it forward. If I think you put all of that together, you'll have a fulfilling career.
So have a strong foundation in problem solving, in your skills, build strong relationships, and build something bigger than yourself. Thank you, Sir Jimbo, for those good words, and thank you for this conversation. So maraming salamat, Sir Jimbo. You're our second guest dito sa Kaizen Blitzing Your IE Career, the IE podcast. Thank you so much, Sir
Thank you,
Jimbo.
Johnny. It was great to be here.